Brett, shoot me. Am I too close now? Can you hear back there, Jim? Way too high. I'll bring it down a little bit. How's this? A little better? Does that sound better? Can you hear me all right? Very good. The first thing, and welcome to all of you, and welcome to the folks on 990 who are watching us tonight. Daryl brought me this important announcement, and I want to give it to you right now. Tuesday night, here in the CAC, the Life Enrichment presents Minnesota Climate Past and Present Future, Dr. Mark Seeley, Emeritus Professor at the University of Minnesota and frequent guest on the early morning show with Kathy Wurzer at NPR, talking about climatology and meteorology, coordinating weather and climate educational services with the National Weather Service and the Minnesota State Climatology. You will, if you haven't heard Mark, he's really well. I told Daryl, you got a problem. There's going to be too many people want to come. So get here early. So you got, oh, very good. You got overflow in the social room. Very good. And 990. Yeah, well, you know, that is, we can do three things. That's very helpful. Very good. I believe so. 7 o'clock? I better read the 7 p.m. That's exactly right. Well, we've got a busy schedule here tonight, some really interesting and important things to do, but I thought I'd start out with just a little levity. It's been a great day for our family. We were up to our daughter's congregation today, and our youngest grandson was a part of the confirmation service, and then we got together, had a wonderful family dinner, so it's been a great day for us. So I thought I'd end it by coming here and telling you all the bad things we got to do. What a day. I tell you, can I get a day where I don't have, no, this is fun stuff. Here's the great, now you know there are 4 stages. There are stages of grief. There are all kinds of stages. Here are the 4 stages of life. You believe in Santa Claus. You don't believe in Santa Claus. You are Santa Claus. And you look like Santa Claus. I like that. I like that. Now, here are some quotes. There are 4 quotes. They're from someone as famous, someone who's dead. See if you might be able to identify them. Have you ever noticed that anybody driving slower than you is an idiot, and anybody driving faster than you is a maniac? Number 2, never argue with an idiot. They will always bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. He put this one on a T-shirt. It's weird to be the same age as older people. And then this quote, we've multiplied our possessions, but we reduced our values. We talk too much, love too seldom, and hate too often. We learned how to make a living, but not a life. We added years to our life, but not life to our years. Comedian George Carlin, long dead, hippy-dippy weatherman, pretty profound stuff. And then one of these pieces you find on the internet that's very helpful. 3 important asset categories that we must have in retirement. Money is important, but money's not everything. And the 3 are stay healthy, combat loneliness, find your purpose. Stay healthy, combat loneliness, and find your purpose. Well, that's pretty good advice. So tonight we want to kick off with some introductions of some new folks in our community. So Rhiannon, you're in charge of that, so I appreciate that. So you come on up here with your guests and give us a whirl here.
All right. Thank you very much, Rich. Our guests tonight, and I'll have them come up here, are Don Waldeland and his wife, Burl Waldeland. And some of you may have met them in October when they moved here. But they were only here 2 weeks before they took off as snowbirds. And they came back a month ago. So they're still new residents, even though they moved in 6 months ago. They've only been here about 6 weeks all total. What prompted you to move to 7500 York in retirement?
Well, we have been here as guests of Kay Hoffland, who you might remember. We had dinner here with her several times. We came to some of your wonderful programs, and we've also stayed in the guest suite several times. So we thought this was a great place, and we were looking for more help than a condominium gave us. So anyway, we knew this place, and we knew how happy Kay was here. We had other relatives that lived here too. They were Waldelands. And anyway, we thought this was the place for us.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Same question, right?
Right.
Well, I'm a bit of a nitpicker, so I really wanted to dig into this. And Rianne said about a week ago she was going to ask these questions. And then we went to brunch. She didn't ask anything, so I forgot about it. And she brought it up again yesterday, Don. You're not getting off that easy. But I made a list because I thought it was very important how people feel that the things that got us here. We were very happy living in at 7100 Metro Boulevard. You have several other people that have lived there and then come over here. The main things, the restaurant. We love the food. We've eaten here many times. The grocery store, the hair salon, the tailor, the woodwork, the repair shop in the woodwork area, the minibus. We've been to several concerts in the month that we've been back. Importantly to us at our age, we're close to the hospital. I'm going to hang on to this one, it's okay. We're close to the hospital and we're close to doctors. Shopping is wonderful. We know that we're close to the airport. We're close to the guest room, which we've used several times. We are close to our storage unit. We're close to the trash room. We're close to the elevator. We finally got a parking spot, and guess what? We're right by the elevator. Our parking, get in, go down, we're in the parking spot. The thing that's also important is the fact that this is a concrete building. We're used to a wooden structure. When the airplanes go over, the building shakes. We notice nothing here, hardly any noise. In fact, every day has been a pleasant experience for us.
Oh, that's a wonderful list. I think when I interview new people, I do give them a hint of the questions I'm going to ask, but I think you're the first person that has written down the entire list.
You don't know me very well yet. All right, everything.
A detail man, isn't he? What did you retire from, Don?
I spent 40-some years in the color card industry. Now, what's
The what?
Color card. What's a color card? When you go to buy paint at Hirschfield's or you go to Sherwin-Williams, used to be Sears, we made all of their color charts. We made color books, color decks, display racks. And we pioneered this business 65 years ago. And so in the old days, you couldn't get thousands of colors. You had to pick from a small list of colors. Now we had discovered how to make the formulas for the material to tint paint, and you can buy any one of thousands of colors.
Wonderful. And Burl, what did you retire from?
Being a housewife. Now I'm retired and Don's waiting on me.
Is he? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And your family?
Yes, we have two sons. When we moved back, we have lived in Chicago 3 different times. So when we came back from Chicago the last time in about 92, we lived in a high-rise downtown. We lived at La Rive. And what do you want me to get closer? And then we moved up to our cabin, and we lived up there for another 10 years. And then we came back down here and moved into Creekside, and our boys then left town. They were both living in South Minneapolis, and it was getting too awful there for them. So one went to Albert Lea, and the other one went to Mason City, which is where my grandparents lived their life, and my dad grew up. So anyway, we're happy they're happy, and we love going down to visit them, so it's all okay.
And do you still have your cabin?
No, we don't.
One thing that was a blessing as far as my business, I've been to Norway 50 times. And I did a lot of international business because nobody knew how to make color charts in Europe. I'm going to hang on, excuse me. And so we had a plant in Melbourne, Australia, and spent a lot of time in Australia, spent a lot of time in New Zealand, Australia. England was our biggest customer, so I've been real fortunate. While Burl raised 2 kids without me, it was a blessing because I've had wonderful experience in my job.
That's wonderful. And so you go south every winter? Are we going to miss you in November, December, January, February, and March?
For 30 years, we've gone to Palm Desert, California.
30 years.
30 years, but we sold our house out there, and we're going to try and brave the Minnesota winter this year. So we don't know, because our cars have not seen snow. We've not seen snow for 30 years. But we are probably going to go for 2 or 3 months to Palm Desert again. But since we don't have a house out there, it's not a deal. It's a done deal. 6 months of being gone. So we're going to have fun with all you guys. It'll be great winter here.
Well, we are delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for volunteering to be the couple we interviewed tonight. Welcome and enjoy the winter.
Just a couple of quick announcements. The 990 folks want me to remind you that sometimes timing issues and scheduling issues get them goofed up. I tell you, I've been watching a lot of our events on 990 from my office desk. I'm really impressed. We have done such good work, our staff and our volunteers. The sound comes across good, the picture comes across good, but sometimes we get scheduling goofed up, so we're continuing to work hard. Look at that man over there. He's doing a good job tonight handling the place, so we appreciate that. He's doing terrific. The other thing, of course, that happened this week is some of you got announcements or summons from the fire department of Edina. Interesting. You know, I didn't know, none of us knew that was coming. And the problem is, of course, some of you in your storage units have things too close to the fire spigots, the sprinkler system. Now, we talked a little bit, you talked about the concrete building. Why is this important? Our insurance people tell us that we have to do everything we can for the safety of this building and protect it from any fire losses. It is just imperative that we do that and to keep our costs down for our premiums as well as for safety. So just keep that in mind. Here was another piece that I saw on the internet this week about the resilience of older people. Here are some characteristics. I kept thinking, we can handle this. If you got, our staff can help you, not going to cost you anything. Just get a hold of them and have them do it. Here's some things about, they say older people can teach us about resilience. We have adaptability. We have financial responsibility. We have persistence. We can cope with change, mostly. Mostly. We are self-reliant in many ways. And we've got perspective. So I just want to lift up to those categories to you to say, we can handle problems. We are not wimpy wallflowers. We are strong senior citizens doing good stuff, living together here. So I just want you to keep that in mind. All right, let me get to the board meeting of this. We just held a board meeting on Wednesday. We have our annual meeting, and it happened that this time the scheduling was that we had the board meeting before we got here to the evening on Sunday night. Just some things, some highlights. I just lift up one of my colleagues, our colleagues on the board, Sharon Barth. Many of you know Sharon. Sharon had cardiac bypass surgery on Friday. So we're concerned about her. If you drop her a card or give her a quick note, that would be appreciative. And keep your neighbors. Who's around you? Who do you know that needs a lift, who needs a note, who needs a stop by and give them a hand if you can? Pay attention to the community. That's what this place is all about. It's about finding a purpose, and it's about doing good for your neighbor. So just pay attention to that. One of the things we had to do, many of you were elected to be the chairs of the standing committees. Every year, after the annual meeting, about the first week of May to the end of April, is a new program year. I call it a program year. And in that program year, we elect people for the board, and we elect standing committee chairs, and we reorganize committees every year. Those of you who were elected by your standing committee as the chair, the board approved you, and we needed to put that into our minutes, so we have legal record of the standing committee chairs. And thank you to all of you. Do we have any new standing committee chairs and current standing committee chairs tonight? Would you stand if you're a current or new standing committee chair? Stand up. Don't be sitting there. Very good. There. Let's thank these people for their good work. All right. We are making preparations for the annual meeting, which will be a week from tomorrow, 8 days from now. We are doing it for the first time in 17 years without Mary Beth. So we're having fun. And we're flying by the seat of our pants, actually. But we're doing pretty well. And we'll have hopefully by Friday, a packet of materials for the meeting at your door, and you'll have that. Annual meetings tend not to be very exciting. There is no new business that will be conducted at this, mostly reporting, thinking about what happened this last year. But it's terribly important because they bring about the culmination of the election process for the new people who will serve on the board of directors for the next 3-year terms and get people organized and thinking about what lies ahead of us. So that's coming up, and we'll have stuff for you for the annual meeting. Now, we can't get everybody in this room. So some of you will have to come, and then when we fill up, you'll have to watch on 990. Please get your ballot in. You need to get your ballot in so we can make sure we have a count for the quorum for the meeting and for the election of the new board members, as well as the proposals by the board for the restated bylaws and the restated articles of incorporation. The board, of course, would recommend them to you, but you vote your conscience. I heard someone say, what's the board trying to pull over on us? Well, the board is not trying to pull anything over on you. We're trying to clean up from the past, from 20 years, and they haven't really been touched except for the year we moved all the HUD language out because of the Windows project. And by the way, I keep reminding people, those of us who are board members will not be board members for life. We live under the same things that you live under. And we have, by the way, current bylaws. So if we wanted to pull something over on you, we had probably do it by the current bylaws. We're not doing that. We're offering good stuff, and we lift them up to you. But you vote your conscience. You heard, we welcomed Hannah Parker, who is our new person in the marketing and working in Mary Beth's desk. We're thinking, we've got some really fine folks in our administrative office right now, and we're thinking about new patterns and new styles of organizing how we structure that office. There's lots of good things going on. I'm really heartened about the people we have and the skills they have. Mostly, besides people skills, they've got technical skills that all of the rest of us don't have, skills that do with all the IT stuff. So that's really important. In our managers meeting, one of the things, the manager brings a report to us every month. This was a key statistic. In the month of April, we only had one member who did not meet their payment due by the deadline in April. One member is all. In March, we had 6. Some months in the past, we've had 15 to 20. We have really worked hard. Now, why is that important? Well, I'll tell you, if you run a business, it's important because of cash flow. You got to have the money to pay the bills, and people need to pay their fair share. We'd like to be able to just tell you, oh, forget about it this month. And then we'd all go around to everybody else's door and collect on your behalf. And you want us to come and do that? No, we're not going to do that. You carry your freight. So it's important that all of us pay on time. So the cash flow issue is really crucial. And Mitch said, one person is all we've had. And that might be an extenuating circumstance. Sometimes somebody gets sick or something has to happen. I mean, we have enough common sense to ebb and flow there, but it's just been good to know that we're tightening things up and making good things happen. The board met before the meeting, and the board met with our friends from the Finance Committee, and Kathy and her committee had the annual report of the audit, the preliminary audit from Wifley, who is our auditor and the people who do our income taxes, and they went through their however these folks do that. I am not an auditor, but they gave us good standing. We have good report. The board and the Finance Committee are both satisfied, and the board approved the financial report of Wifley and Company about the audit for the 2023 year. So that's very helpful. That's a very interesting meeting, and it's always I always ask, did anybody do anything wrong? Did we find anything? When they go through all the things? I'm impressed by what happens in that. And so that was cleaned up, and the audit was approved at the board meeting. The membership and marketing folks looked at what it is that it's in their budget. And one of the things they're about to embark on is putting a new website together. What we're finding is the biggest or the most important way people get in touch with us these days is by looking at our website. So people are looking there, and word of mouth. There's the two biggest things, the website and word of mouth. So there you go. That's our best marketing tool, and they're going to be working on a new website, and that'll be coming down the road. The Property Committee has a number of projects going. You heard Mitch tell you about the garage cleaning, window cleaning. There'll be plenty of advertisements out for you, so you won't get caught short. The board also approved from the Property Committee a 3-year contract with All City Elevator to be our elevator contracting company. They are our current company. There were 3 bids on that project, and one of the things All City has, how many of you were here about 2-3 years ago when we lost the main motor out in over here by the dining room? One of the things All City has is they've got all the parts and they've got stuff that the stuff we use. The other 2 companies said, well, we had to get all new stuff if we had to do that. We thought be smart, and the Property Committee said, we like All City. They do a good job. They could take good care of us. So we approved that 3-year contract. The RAC Committee had a 4-page report of all the good things people are doing on a shoestring. Just think of all the good things that go on here all the time. That all of you participate and lead, and there's going to be a whole new bunch of people taking over and doing new things this year. That's really one of our great cost-effective amenities, the money we put into RAC. So I thank all of you who work on that. The Furnishings Committee has found out that for some reason over the years we've been paying a laundry service to launder and dry clean the linens in the guest rooms. We can do it ourselves. The guys in the furnishings and the housekeeping and the maintenance guys have bought a new washer and dryer, and we'll be able to cover the cost. That was costing us, I think, like $500-600 a month. $500 a month. No, not a week. Did the report say a week? I find that hard to believe. Was it really?
In the Furnishings Committee meeting.
Oofta. That's even worse than I thought. Well, no wonder good for you guys. Good for you guys. The Furnishings Committee's on the ball. They're going to save us a bunch of money. Way to go. A week. We got to get rid of that. I'm glad we're on the ball on that. A washer and dryer will take care of that whole deal, that's for sure. The Resident Health and Wellness Committee is reporting a number of programs. I sat in on one the other day about thinking about families with needs for Medicare and Medicaid and some other. That was really an interesting program, how to do some planning. I really commend our committees for finding really important programs, whether it's music or education or those things that have to deal with our planning. You can take advantage of those things. And then the other day there was a driving instruction, right? A tune-up for all of you who are learning how to drive again. Just remember, if they drive faster than you, they're an idiot, you know. The ad hoc committees reported on the lobby and balcony, and the member guide is working. And finally, we approved a new contract over a 5-year period with our copying company. We're going to get a better operation here for less money. Anytime we can get a better operation with less money, that's a good deal. So we're going to put a better copier up in the area there by the fitness center where those little old copiers are there. You're going to get a nice copy to do, a really nice copier. Now, here's the deal. One of the things that these new copiers could tell us is everybody who uses it will have a code. You'll punch your code in, and every committee and every member will be charged for what you use. So you use it, you pay for it, you know. But it's up there, and it'll be a good thing. And all our committees and the board that is really going to be helpful. So we can kind of manage. One of the things we're doing this year is managing our budget far better than I've seen us manage over the last 5 years.
Rich, where do we get that code?
Well, I don't. Well, when we get the equipment, we'll let you know. I have no idea. You're asking the wrong guy. Jake will know. So anyway, there you go. We will then. Now, here's what's going to happen. We had our April meeting. That's our last regular board meeting of the current program year. On Monday, a week from Monday, the voting will close at 10 o'clock in the morning when the annual meeting begins. So if you haven't got your ballot back into the blue box by next Monday morning at 10 o'clock, you are out. And the problem we have to be careful of is if you don't put your ballot in, it counts as a no vote. So I don't care if you vote no, but at least vote. Don't leave it blank or don't forget to turn it in. So make a reasoned, good decision on how you want to act. So get that in. The new board members and the board members who will carry on will gather at the end of the week to do a board organization. There are I have no idea if I'm even going to be reelected, and I said at the thing, I have no presuppositions. If this outfit doesn't want me, that's fine, you know, it's all right. And all the rest of us have said that too. We offered ourselves to help. 5 people offered, 3 will be elected. Those 3 new members plus the current members will organize, and we organize every year on an annual basis to choose officers. And then we have to sit down, the 9 of us together, and decide who will offer leadership to the board in the coming year. And then we will have, up on top of the building, the white smoke thing will come out when we elect a chairman. There will be, no. We'll do that, and we'll let you know how the elections go. So that's the way it's going to happen, so just so you know that. The second piece that's in, so you saw the board agenda. That's what we work off of the meetings. The second piece that's on the handout I gave you today, where's my handout? Here it is. The second piece is a work by Nan Gruby and Jim Bratley. I tell you what, Nan and Jim, and they've talked to us before. You guys just told us about some of the amenities that you appreciate when you came here. Everything we do in one sense is an amenity. Everything costs us. And what really costs us is what's the big, when you think about a budget, what's the biggest cost to any budget? Labor. People are the biggest cost to any budget. They impact our amenities. They impact all our programs. They impact security area, it's people, it's labor. That's where the challenge is. And I really appreciated the work. Now, you notice on the sheet, it says this is an unofficial document. Nobody has adopted this. This is off of last year's budget. We took some of the figures and worked from last year. We try to say, when you look at the budget, now, what the big blue, the remaining 6.2 million there, it doesn't have the mortgage payment, doesn't have the mortgage interest, it doesn't tell you the $1 million we spend for the reserves. This what they did with the little grid on here was give you an idea of how the most costly amenities in this place fit into the last year's budget. So you can see that on the pie chart, right? Everybody understand that, what that is? Okay, so there you see that on the pie chart, and you can see where the top amenities are. The York room is the biggest amenity, the security next, the cable and TV, the van service, the rack budget, and then the Stop and Shop, and that's inventory and machines, and who knows all that, and the coolers and all that kind of stuff. All we're saying is, one of the things that I've noticed around here is people don't understand everything we do costs. Every time we have a program, it costs us, and if we don't understand that, we have big problems. And then we have people asking us, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Well, I want to just make sure you get a sense of what we're doing here. So one of the biggest issues that we had at our board meeting, and I'm going to have Rianne and Nick Hickey, our Director of Services, I'm going to do a little intro for this, though, so you understand what the big issues are as we looked at our biggest amenity, the board, right, or the dining services. I brought, where is my copy here? I brought my bill. Here's my bill. I paid my bill on time. It wasn't me, the guy, it was the last guy. Now, in our building, there are two of us, so we pay the member amount on a square footage. Every apartment is different because it's all based on square footage. Can you imagine the people who did this 45 years ago where they sat there with calculators and tried to figure out every one of these apartments, and everything is all done on the square footage. So that's how you get your costs going that way. It says in that about 3 years ago, people added this piece to the billing. Well, if there's an additional person, if there's a spouse, then there's additional charge of $190. At the bottom down here, it says the monthly member fee and the additional person fee includes $115 a month for all of us. Every one of us, every one of us pays $115. Now, in most cases, it wouldn't even be detailed. Somebody thought we should detail it so people knew what it actually costs to do something like this. Our former director of dining services, Ben Schneider, used to say, Rich, we're the only amenity that everybody sees what it costs them every month. None of the rest of them are listed. And he was right about that, of course. So just know that $115 per month per person, we get a little over $500,000 to put into the budget of the dining room. And we hope that at the same place, the management folks in the dining room figure out a budget on that $500,000, and we hope it comes out 0-0, right? We hope it balances out. That's the deal. Well, the issue, of course, has been these days, and looking at our financials again, all spring or all winter and spring, we're doing okay on the spending side, but we're not doing okay on the income side. That's what's hurting us. In fact, last year, in addition to the $115 all of us put in for a little over $500,000, we lost $50,000 to operate the dining services. In addition to the whole budget of over $500,000. This year, we're running a deficit of $5,000 a month. Now, I picked up another quote I thought was rather interesting. Is it foolish to repeat ineffective actions? And a quote attributed to Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Now, who knows if that's true or not. One of the things that Mitch has been able to do, and before our current new director came, is to really sit down and work hard with our Morrison echelons and the upper levels and say, look, we've got to stem that, because that 50 grand the last 2 years has come out of other operations in the budget we can't spend. So that puts us in deficit in some other places, or we just can't do what we budgeted to do. Maybe it was fixing a generator, or maybe it was in the housekeeping or whatever. And we just said to them, hey, we've got to get this point where we can balance this out. Where everybody is putting in $115 a month, and it comes out to a little over $500 million. We should be able to do this. Their spending line is pretty good, but our problem is our people in the seats, and for many reasons. If you, in fact, Rhiann, didn't we think about? We looked at the number of meals last year, divided it by the number of dollars, and we figure every time there's a meal, it must cost us $38. $38.71. That's what it costs. Now, do we charge you for that? No. I had pancakes the other morning for $10. Delicious. But we're not charging us the actual cost of what it is to pay for the meals. Now, the problem is, if we don't come to grips with that issue, we're going to continue to bleed money out of the general budget and not do things we are already planned to do. Or, if we want to do what we're doing on the same level, we got to jack the prices up, or we got to add more to everybody's $115 a month. Many people have said to me, Rich, why do we even have, I think we should dump it. Now, I hear you guys, Don, and said, Don, I like that. I like going down there, you know. So here's the deal. We got people on all sides of the issue. All right, what are we paying? Why are we dump that? That restaurant is a loser. By the way, in any senior cooperative, nobody's building dining rooms anymore because they can't afford to do it. They can't afford to run a food service unless the dues are high. So we've asked our friends at Morrison, give us a plan. You've got to give us a plan. Before Nick came, we asked them to do that, and he's the first guy who's come to us, and really a good answer to help us think about what we can do. So, Rhiann, can you give us a little downbeat here and bring us up to date on what the Food Service Committee is working on?
Well, Rich has given you a lot of background, and I hope you've all had the chance to meet Nick Hickey, our new Director of Dining Services, who has been here for a month. He came March 19th, and he is a welcome addition to our dining room. So we're happy to have you here.
Thank you, Rhiann. Thank you, Rich, and thank you, membership.
And the Food Committee is your representative committee dealing with these issues in the dining room. And I want to thank the two chairpersons of the Food Committee this year who have worked very hard. It was Mary Lund and Alice Bronstead. And actually, I'm standing in for Alice tonight because she just had hip replacement surgery. So I'm happy to bring you this information, but those two women led a committee of 7. And with those of you who are on the Food Committee, stand, and I think the new people also are here. Would you stand so we can give you some applause? Pat Harrington, Bev Anton, and Daryl is just joining the committee. Florence Hughes, I know you're here, but you didn't stand up. And anyway, they have worked very hard. The Food Committee meets once a month on the third Thursday at 10 o'clock to go through the issues that are facing the Food Committee. The two chair and I meet every Monday at 11 o'clock with Nick and with the executive chef to get an update on foods and feedback that we've gotten from people and so forth, and to discuss the issues in the dining room. And it's a very complex committee because there are a lot of issues. And as Rich mentioned, one of the major concerns has been the deficit that we've been running for many years with the dining room. And last year, the deficit was $58,000. And as Rich mentioned, we asked Morrison to come in with proposals on how we could reduce that deficit so that at the end of this year, we have met the black line and we're not in the red. And so they came with proposals. One of them, of course, we expected, and that's that food prices would need to go up 10 to 15%, and you've already seen that. It's gone up in many areas. And Nick shared with the food committee a couple of weeks ago that I believe you said it was in February, he had ordered a box of chicken thighs, and it cost $63. And when you ordered it again last month, it was $95 for the same box of chicken thighs. So of course, we're going to have some increases in food prices. The second proposal that they came in with that provoked a lot of discussion was concerning labor costs. How could we reduce labor costs? And the proposal came back that we consider having food service available only 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week. Big discussion about that. We talked about 6 days a week instead of 5. And tough discussion because we know there are a lot of people that eat there every day, and we know there are a lot of people that never eat in the dining room. But what the arguments were that most restaurants are closed a day or two a week. Often those days are Monday and Tuesday. If we were to choose 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday would be the better 5 days because our Stop and Shop is open on Monday and Tuesday. So people that need to buy food or have access to food every day would still have that access within the building. The other thing was, the other question was, how would this impact our staff? We have wonderful Morrison employees, both in the kitchen and in the front of the dining room. In fact, have you noticed that in the last several months, we've had such a stable waitstaff? I bet you all know Carmen, Cindy, Linda, Jason, Becky and Yasmin are here on Monday and Tuesday. They're college students. And Emily has been here regularly, even though she's in law school. We also have been fortunate to retain a lot of the cook staff in the kitchen. We currently have our lead executive chef out with an injury following a fall. And so he's on medical leave for, a couple of months, perhaps.
Yes, we hope to see him sometime in June.
Okay, so he'll be back. But Morrison has provided us with substitute executive chefs. We currently have Lucas. And the rest of the kitchen staff has been quite stable. You all know Marco, you probably know Laurent, you know John, and so forth. So we've been very, very fortunate, and one of our questions was, how will this affect staff? Are we going to lose staff? And maybe you can answer that as you answered it for the food committee on what it might mean for staffing.
Sure, and I don't think we're going to see any major staffing changes. There's 3 gals that are in college. One of them did accept an internship, so she will likely not be with us that much during the summer. And as we looked at this 5-day operational week, so losing one server just to an internship, and then 2 other college gals, their availability is opening up in the summertime. So we expect to just be able to shuffle things around, and we're not losing anyone, really.
Yeah, so that's exciting. That's exciting to know because we went through a lot of turnover there in staff for quite a few months. The other thing that Nick has been so willing to do, and he is such a joy to work with, the food committee really enjoys having Nick there because he comes up with ideas like, for instance, on Saturday nights, dinner will be served in the dining room. You can get takeout if you want it, but you can also come down for a sit-down dinner on Saturday night. And because so many of you on the survey we had last fall asked for brunches again, especially a Sunday brunch, Nick has offered a Sunday brunch every single Sunday this summer. So that's the positive part about it. And I think that you also would be interested to know that there are other innovations that Nick has put into the dining room that maybe you'd like to share with us, and things that he's putting up on the monitor on the wall. I hope you're all looking at the monitor on the wall for specials and announcements and so forth. You care to expand on that?
Sure. Yes, we do have a nice wall monitor, and we're trying to pick, activities every month that kind of resonate from our market calendar to the community specifically. And some of those things were like the grilled cheese and tomato soup day, where we put together a combo for $12, and it outsold our evening feature that night. And just doing fun things like that. I know next month we're doing a Seis de Mayo, if you will, a Cinco de Mayo celebration on the 6th of May on a Monday.
What's on the menu for that?
Actually, we haven't gotten that dialed in, but we're going to do, a nice Tex-Mex kind of themed evening feature in celebration of Cinco de Mayo. We're also doing a cherry cobbler day. That'll be kind of like the pie day in March, where you can get, a nice serving of cherry cobbler and some Cool Whip, if you will, and maybe a cup of coffee, and we'll set up a nice combo price for that. And yeah, just talking about brunch a little bit. Right now, Sundays are kind of a quieter day. We're just doing takeout, I think, from 11 to 1:30, and so in a kind of a typical Sunday, we're doing just a few $100s.
Like 20 orders at most
Yeah.
on a Sunday?
Sometimes that's $200, and I feel like the brunch that we did on the 21st, because we had committed to doing a brunch once a month, and if there was a holiday that we could celebrate, then we would do it on that holiday. Otherwise, we would just kind of do a just because brunch. And I feel like that was a good kind of gauge for some of the number one menu offerings that we might see during this new 5-day-a-week model on, for this new model, and also kind of a nice test point for, as far as pricing it out. So maybe on Mother's Day, we're kind of having a really, wide offering for the buffet. Just if it were just a regular brunch, it would be scaled back a little bit, and then so would the price point. But it would be going from one of our lower income generating days to probably the highest income generating day of the week. And on paper, revenue is kind of where we're not meeting the goals. Nobody can guarantee revenue, but revenues from this last billing period were considerably higher than where we were before, and that was because we had 2 Sunday brunches during that period, and that's really helping covering some expenses there.
Yeah, and we should mention the Sunday brunch just the other Sunday. There were 80 people that came, which is wonderful. For the Easter Sunday brunch, we had 170 reservations. There were 120 people seated. The rest were takeout. That's the highest number that we've had for a meal in a long time. And reservations help because that tells Nick how much food to prepare for a day, which is why we ask people to make reservations. But you can still show up. And hopefully there will be room for you unless our dining room is really crowded. But we urge you to make reservations for Mother's Day very soon because I think that will be a very popular one too. To give you an idea on numbers, for the month of March, and of course Easter Sunday was the last day of March, we had over 2,010 meals. In fact, there was a glitch in the system on Mother's Day that didn't count guests. But even though we had 103 registered, we figured there were another 30 to 40 that were guests that didn't show up on the system. So we probably had 2,050 meals served in March. A meal can be soup picked up for lunch, or it can be the big dinner in the evening. We don't know exactly what the meal is, but there were 2,050 meals served. Last year, we had only 3 months with more than 2,000 people eating. And 2 of those months were in the summer, so we're hopeful that there will be high numbers this summer too. Otherwise, we had 2 months of 1,900 people eating. We had, the rest of the months were either 1,700 or 1,800 people eating. We only had 1,500 that ate in February, even though there was a 29th day. I don't know why that month was low. It may have been because we had such a transition in the directorship. We had Katrina left, and then Angie substituted for a while, Heidi substituted for a while, so maybe we lost some numbers there. But we're really hoping this summer that we can have more than 2,000, maybe closer to 2,100, 2,200, 2,300 meals sold from the dining room per month. Any other comments on that?
I can talk about just the projections.
Okay, why don't you?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spoke a little bit about the kind of financial structure that goes into making the budget, and part of that is the culinary service fee, or the $115 per month per person. And basically, as Rich said, that's just a little over $500,000 or $567,000. And so basically that is about 2/3 of the revenue that we operate on, and that other third just comes from the cash sales, or just the restaurant sales, if you will. And that kind of speaks to the cost per meal. I think, that culinary service fee brings our costs down by about 2/3 based on our current volume. And so as we look at, the 2 proposals, a 6-day operational week with expansions on Saturday evenings and Sunday brunch, we weren't, it was kind of a wash just with closing 1 day a week and the expansions on the weekend. We weren't saving any money. And as we talked about, labor is kind of that 2/3 to 3/4 of our expense, and food is that other 1/4 to 1/3. But as we look at a 5-day, Wednesday through Sunday, with in-person dining Saturday evening and Sunday brunch, over the course of 12 months at our current run rate, our projections look, they would take us from losing $26,000 over the 12 months to earning $33,000. And I know last year they were $58,000 in the red. And I think last month 2 months ago we did okay, but March we did not meet our financial goals, and part of that was revenue based, and part of that was related to the cost of repairs. So that's why we made the recommendation to the community and to the board to give this new 5-day week a 3-month trial, see what that looks like, and then reevaluate after 90 days.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Sure.
That was going to be my last point, is to emphasize that when the food committee passed this recommendation, with it being a 3-month trial experiment, that's what the board approved, was that it is worth giving this a try for 3 months and see how it works. So we will plan on having a survey later in the summer to see what you think about having a 5-day meal serving week at 7500 York. Some people may be wondering, why wasn't this brought to the whole community until now? And that's because it's an experiment. But before we do anything permanent, we would want to get input from all of you. Now, I want to mention the other thing that Nick is looking forward to having is a food forum meeting every month. And that is for anybody in the community to come to the fireside room and meet with Nick. And you can ask him any questions, you can make comments about food and so forth. And the first food forum meeting is this Thursday. No, not this Thursday. Thursday, May 9th at 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you have any questions, comments, thoughts about food or anything like that, please come to the fireside room and meet with Nick. If you have any questions now about this 3-month experiment, feel free to ask them. We'd be happy to try answering the questions.
Do we want to talk about the Stop and Shop enhancements?
No.
Here, let me take one of those. I'll wander and you guys share that mic, all right? Questions?
Anybody have questions?
Questions? Here's a question right here.
Nick, for the buffet brunch and takeout, I assume that if we purchase the brunch and eat in, we are not taking any food out. Is that correct?
That's correct. Are you specifically talking about the Mother's Day brunch?
Well, yes, because when a takeout available, that means your entire meal would be takeout. You wouldn't be seated.
Correct. So I think there's two answers to that question. The first would be we wouldn't be offering a to-go box just for a regular buffet diner. But on the Mother's Day brunch flyer, there was a note about additional, or takeout would require an additional fee. And I think the reason the chef included that was if somebody came through, had a wonderful brunch and said, I want to have the same meal for dinner. So it was just kind of a note that there'd be an additional fee if they wanted to take something home for later.
You can't bring your Tupperware for free, right?
Also true.
Like they used to do in the old play, they slide it in your coat pocket. No. All right. Other questions? There's a question way over here. Jay, I'm coming.
Thank you. I'm wondering for Monday and Tuesdays, when it's the York Room that provides the sandwiches and soup to the Stop and Shop, correct? Will you anticipate making more sandwiches on those 2 days?
Yes, absolutely. We are going to enhance our supply for grab-and-go items during those days where the York Room is not operating. And we've also looked at maybe offering a couple of breakfast items, like a grab-and-go fruit and yogurt parfait and maybe a breakfast burrito, something that's easy to take away and warm up, in addition to the soups and sandwiches.
Question?
Nick, this past week, someone said that only ham salad and egg salad sandwiches were going to be available at the Stop and Shop. Is that correct?
No, there must have been a miscommunication. We do try to offer a variety of sandwiches throughout the week and trying not to repeat, 2 days in a row.
Thank you. And then the little smiley machine that we are asked, the last couple of times I've tried to use it, I couldn't get it to smile back. It just was dead. And I wondered, do you turn it on or?
I
does that
noticed
work?
there was a couple days where I was having issues, kind of like you just described. So I'm going to look into that, but that is a great point to bring up. We do have this little kiosk. It's called Happy or Not, and there are 4 smiley face on there, and you can give us a feedback. But what's really important is if we offer feedback to also punch in a comment. So if there's something that we can improve on or something you'd like to see, that gives us direct feedback. And also I get an email every Sunday probably right about now with the list of comments and feedback. So.
Question over here?
Nick, we're going to have a lot of people working outside our building throughout the summer. Are we anticipating, or is there any way of predicting what committee, how much interest there is in the food that we can provide to them and upgrade our income that way?
Great question. We are going to have a lot of construction workers on various projects here this summer, and we absolutely want to capitalize and make sure our offerings are available to not only the membership, but the workers and contractors that may be here during lunchtime. And so that's something we'll keep a close eye on as far as production volume.
When we talked about this, we also said, because this is an experiment, we're not sure how many people might want to use the Stop and Shop on Monday. And it could be that when the kitchen prepares all the food on Sunday, which goes up to the Stop and Shop on Monday then, we'd run out by Monday noon. And I want you to know that Nick has graciously offered, if food is running short on Monday, that he would come in or send somebody in to make up a whole nother batch to go in on Tuesday so that there would always be enough food in the Stop and Shop. So thank you, Nick.
Here's a question here.
Have you ever thought about putting, a breakfast item on your, I know you have an omelet down there, but the breakfasts here are like Perkins every morning. So we're going to lose 2 mornings of that. But bacon, eggs or something, which is easy, I think, and cheap to put on the left side of the menu.
I think that's a great idea. Joe brought up the point if we could maybe put another late breakfast option on our always available menu, not just the omelet, toast, and fruit, but maybe like the classic or the big classic. I don't see any reason why not. I think that's a great idea, and it's a pretty quick pickup on the kitchen side.
Those are exactly the types of questions you can bring to the food forum on Thursday morning, May 9th at 10 o'clock in the fireside room. So write your questions down and bring them to Nick on that day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you, Rhiannon. Appreciate that. I know this is difficult, and one of my our good members said to me, "Rich, I don't like it," and another one said to me, "Rich, it's about time." And I think, okay, I understand. We've got all kinds of opinions. We're trying to do all kinds of things, but whatever we're going to do, the model has to work, and we can't bleed 50,000 a year. Otherwise, that's just going to go. We're going to have to raise those fees without a doubt, because you can't charge away with meal prices out of this. There's no way to fix it that way. It's the labor costs that are costing us. And my thanks to Nan over here, Nan Gruby. Would you please stand? And for Nan and Jim Bratley, thank you, Nan, have been working so hard on this. This is just one piece of the whole amenity thing. We got to talk about all kinds of stuff. That's what the board will continue to talk about, and your committees will continue to talk about. How do we manage the budget? How do we pay for every amenity we have around here? What does it mean to be independent living and not assisted living? That's a key issue. That's always been an issue here. What's the line as we continue to move between? Fascinating. We have people at 55 years old. We have people at 100 and some years old in different cycles of their life, how they experience this community. And you know something? It's hard to meet everybody's expectations, and certainly about the food service. But to Nan and Jim, thank you. Again, this is an unofficial look, but it's a look, and it'll give us a chance to get at that. The other thing on the back is my article in the newsletter this week. It tells you how you can participate in the governance here at 7500. As I said in the very first paragraph, that's the last thing I worried about when we moved here. Didn't have any sense of that, but there are ways you can participate. So thank you to all of you who do that and continue to participate in the governance here at this place. All right, time to go home. I'm beat and I'm tired and I'm out of here. So we'll see you next time. Good to have you here.